Hello again, I am here to teach you the for PHP. For is basically like a while loop, only it's much more simple. Let's take a look at one. It starts out like a while loop. You do for, except for it works like this. You declare your variable, you see if the variable is equal to something, or less than, or more than, or more and equals, whatever. And then you do an action every time for is run. So basically, a while loop will have to have a variable out here, and then we'll have to say that variable equals this, and then we'll have to, this part would be in the while loop, and then down here you would have this part. But instead of wasting those 3 lines, or the extra 2 lines, we can use our for, which puts it all into one little line. As we save that, we can see it outputs just like a while loop. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's basically all there is to it. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hello again. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning about functions. Functions are essential if you are doing a repetitive task over and over. Basically, what it is you can assign some script to a function, and then call a function anywhere in your code, so then it basically runs all that script using only one line. Okay, this is how you make a function. All you have to do is type function, our function name, we'll just call it f, and wrap it up like that, just like that. Okay. Now, inside of our function, we can do anything. We can do anything we can do outside of it. We can echo, we can die, we can access our MySQL database. We can basically do anything. And we run it by calling f right there. Save our changes. F5. And it'll say f has been run. We can also have a return, which basically returns a variable, which is like we can include things like this, where like we say we want to call something with variable, like, yeah, making this confusing. We want to run f using this string. So basically, this string right here will be assigned this variable, and then we can use that string anywhere over here, just like that. We can also return, such as return true, or return false, or we could return a string. Basically, return would work like this. If f string, this would return a true, because we have a true here and there's no reason why it should be false. Therefore, it would run the script inside of if. That is basically all for functions. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Hello and welcome again. I'm here with another tutorial in PHP. In today's tutorial we are going to be learning about Windows Forms, or not Windows Forms, sorry. We're going to be learning about forms, basic HTML forms. Now, let's get started. This is actually going to be part 1 of 3 videos on Windows Forms. The first one's going to be the basic HTML layout, second one's going to be using Git, and the third's going to be using Post. Let's start out by creating our HTML form. I'm not going to write up the whole HTML, I'm just going to write up the part for our form. Okay, form. This basically opens up our form. It's the HTML tag for form. We need this, by the way. Action. This is where all of our variables are going to be sent. In this case, we are going to send it to forms.php, our same exact file. So we could just have it be forms.php, or yeah, we'll just do forms.php. And let's close it down here. And let's have some text. And then input. Input is basically where whatever the user interface uses. It could be a radio box, a drop-down box, a text box, anything like that. But in this case, we're using input type equals text, which is a text box. And we also need to give it a name. This is what I call the ID, which is basically what we will be looking for in our PHP. It's like the variable name of it. Name will equal name. Yeah, name. Then let's have a little submit button where input type equals submit. Submit enters the form and sends the variables to our forms.php. And let's save this. F5. And we can see that we have a little form. It has name, we have a text box, and then we can press submit. Of course it does nothing right now because we didn't do anything, but you can see up here in the URL that it has some variables, and it has the variable that we typed into our namespace. I'll talk about that later in the Git tutorial. That is basically all for right now. Check out the Post or Git tutorial to learn more about forms and how you handle them. Hello and welcome to part 2 of forms. Right now we are going to be using Git to retrieve our variables. So before we show our form here, since we're sending the variables to our same file where the form is, we are going to have to check for the variables to see if the form has been submitted before. We do this by just choosing a random variable and we retrieve it. Git works like this. You open it like any normal variable, but you do $_ GET, and it's basically like an array. If you've seen the array tutorials, open up your brackets, choose the name of the variable you're trying to access, which is in this case name. We need to assign this to a variable. Name equals get name. Perfect. And here's a little tool or function. If is set name. Basically this checks if name has been assigned before. If it has, then it means that our user has submitted the form, therefore assigning a name to name. Now I don't want this form to display twice, so I'm going to use a die. And from die we can echo out stuff like a little error message, but in this case I'm just going to use it to say hello. just like that. Name will equal Sean, and then it'll say hello Sean. That is all for the Get tutorial. See the Post tutorial to learn how you can securitize your forms more. Hello and welcome back. We were just now learning about Get. Now we are learning about Post. Post basically makes it much more secure for your site. Normally, the normal method for form to send the variables is over the URL. I'll add this little question mark, our URL, or our variable, and then the variable's value. Now, of course, this can be easily modified. So if you're sending precious information or stuff that you don't want accessed by the user, then you would use post. See, it now says hello hackers. Now, we use post by doing this. Under our form tags, we do method equals post. This basically turns it into a post. And basically we switch get to post. That is all there is to it. Personally, I use post for just about everything. And I mean everything. Get is sort of useless now. You can see that this little thing doesn't do anything now because we're not checking for it. We're not using it. Now we can do something like Sean, submit, and you can see that it still has the same result, but our user cannot access it in the URL. Now, one tool built into stuff like Chrome and Opera is the inspector element. Now, this is a tool that basically lets you modify the current information of the page. Like I can right click, inspect element, and I could change this live. Oops. Just like that. So I'm able to change the name of this to something random. Therefore, when I submit, even if I put some text in there, it won't show up because we are looking for the wrong thing. Some people create a hidden value. Here's a hidden value. Input type equals hidden. Name equals hide, value equals secret info. Now we don't want the user to be accessing this secret information, but of course it's right out in the open because of our inspect element. On the secret info is you have been hacked. That's bad. One way to battle this is to only allow the variables that you assign. So that means if you have something called like do, which is what you want your script to do, such as register or login, then only allow the variables register or login. Otherwise, completely ignore it. Don't use it, unset it, stuff like that. That is all. Thanks for watching. Forms is amazing. That's all. Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. In this series we are going to be learning how to create a login and registering system. Now, it's very simple. All we use is a few classes, and it will be perfect. Okay, so we start out with our database. You basically need to have a database so that you can store everything like your users and their info. I remember that there was this one form software, but it's called a PHP Nuke or something like that. It was some forum software, and it offered some sort of member thing that doesn't rely on MySQL. So if you don't have it, then you should probably, or if you don't have MySQL, you should probably go and check that out. But I really recommend MySQL because it's the best. It's totally easy. It's amazing. So to manage my databases, I'm using PHPMyAdmin, and I made a database called _tutorial. You can make anything that you want, but for this I'm using tutorial. Okay, so now we need to create a table. We'll create one called users, and I don't know how many fields we'll have. One for ID, one for name, one for email, stuff like that. I'll just do 4. Okay, so we need our ID. This is essential. We'll give it auto increment, and then we're gonna have username, var character, and we'll just do 225, and then password, which is a var character, and it'll be 32 length of 32. I'll explain why we choose 32 later. And then email, in case we want to email them anything. And let's save this. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go into our script, and we're going to create a file called session.php. This will be like the hub of all of our actions. Our forms will be sent to a file called process.php, which will then process the form and choose an action from session.php. Now, I'm not going to create all the classes or all the functions and stuff right now, but I'm just going to create the basic template of the class that we're going to use. Okay, so let's make this class, and we're going to start with our tags. And we're just going to say class session, and then under here, session equals new session. There we go, we have our basic class set up. And now we can access functions really easily outside of this session file. Let's create a little function, and I'll explain how you use it. Basically, all we need to do is go like session hi. That is all. So if you include session into any of your other files, all you would have to do is say session and then whatever function you would need. It makes programming very easy. That's F5, going to here. Oops. Screwed up somewhere. Or not supposed to be there. Sorry about that. And there we go, that's pretty much it. So in our next tutorials, and the future ones, we're going to start first with registering. We're going to insert our stuff into our database, and I'm also going to explain about the password, how the passwords are going to work. After that, we're going to do logins, then cookies, and so on and so forth. Hope to see you again soon. Hello, I am here for a sort of long tutorial about creating a CMS. A CMS is a content management system, much like the one that cPanel has, File Manager. A content management system allows you to edit, delete, view, create, upload files to a directory. Okay, so let's get started. We need an index file. Let's open this up. And let's open up our tags. Okay, so our index file will handle our warnings, such as like you cannot delete that file or error or stuff like that. It will also print our contents in a directory and display links to edit them and delete them and such like that. Okay, so let's get started. Let's make something called dir, which is our directory that we're going to open. In this case, it's going to be data. Actually, open dir and then let's create a while loop to get the entry names of everything from that directory. Now basically what this does is it will add entry name to our directory for every entry name. And now since we do not need the directory or the open dir anymore, we can close it. It is important that you close everything that you open. Now let's count everything in our array. This can be used so that we know how many files we have, or we could display like you have 18 files. Okay, we could do this by and we'll print at our top we'll display our index count files in our directory. I'll just do that. Okay, now let's sort our array. And let's print it off. And then, okay, now we opened up our table because we're going to display everything in a table. We do this just for the sake of visibility and neatness. Now we're going to loop through our array and print one row for each array, or each value we have in our array. There we go. And we are not going to list hidden files using this. There we go, and now we could finally print our stuff. And this might take a while, so I'll pause it and resume once I'm done. Okay, so now that we're done, we can test it out. Oh wait, first I need to create the directory of data. Then we also need to create some files. Oops. And let's also put some stuff in it. Now we can go to our directory, enter. Oops, it seems that we have a problem already. Don't care about you. Unexpected curly bracket on line 19. I forgot to close one of these things. Sorry about that. Now, seem to have a problem with file size. I remember having this problem before. It's probably just my computer, or not my computer, my server, or php.i, and I never really looked into it, but do not care to look into it. So I'll just take that part out. You can leave it in if you want. And file type seems to not work either. Crap. Oh well. We do not need that either. Okay. So now we have our files, and the links go to the files. Actually, no, they do not so far. We need to add data slash. Save that. Perfect. Now let's add some extra links. Including DD. We need one for edit file, one for view file, and one for delete file. Edit. And actually, they could just click it to view it. Edit. Delete. And the way our deletion process is going to work is we're going to use git to retrieve the file that we want to delete, and then it will delete that file for us. Just like that. Crap. I accidentally put it on the wrong table. There we go. also will do the same method for edit, where it just goes to the edit file place and it will get the file that's supposed to edit from the URL, or from get edit.php file listed right. Perfect. There we go. And of course we don't have our deletion set up, but we'll do that right now. Now the method in this is very unsecure, so basically if anyone has access to this file other than you or know about it, and they understand basic Git and they could edit the URL, then you're probably going to be screwed, because then they could delete any file on your server. So I recommend, if you have maybe a user login system, that you make sure that the files are in that user's directory, that they could only delete it from there. It's just a little warning, because what we're going to be doing basically just deletes the file. You know, you can totally screw up your whole server doing this. Okay, so we're going to get our file, f equals underscore get file, and if file underscore exist f, and remember how I said the index will be displaying our warnings, or at least I said that. If I didn't, then index will display our warnings. Then we're going to redirect to our index file and give it a get value so that it will display our warning. We redirect using the header function, and we do location equals index.php slash error equals file does not exist. There we go. And if our file does exist, then we can continue to delete it. Now first we should chmod it f2 0777. This makes it so that we'll be able to delete it. And actually, on some servers, 0777 is disabled. So if it is, then do 555, or at the 55 at the end, 0755. And then unlink will be deleting our file. And we'll also make a variable called results equals unlink. If results equals true, then that means the unlink was successful, else. And if the unlink was unsuccessful, then we will say that the deletion did not work. Else we can go back to our index and say that the file was deleted. There we go. We can save this. Now let's try to delete a file. First, let's make sure that our file is going to the right place, and we can already see that it is not. It is going to file equals foobar.txt when it's supposed to be going to data/foobar.txt. All we need to do is edit our file for that. Actually, this is not the right file. How's that? Is this it? Yes, it is. Data slash close that, F5, and click. Not found. Data slash. Oops. Looks like I made another problem. Edited the wrong thing. Save changes. Without 5. Oops. There we go. And it looks like our file has been deleted, and we can also see that our error says it has been deleted. Of course, we have not set anything up to tell us what happens when there's an error, but as you can see already that our file has been deleted through our display. And if we go into our folder, we can see that it is now gone. Oops. Crap. Okay. That is it for part 1. View part 2 next. And that is in part 2 we are going to learn about editing the file, setting up our errors, and uploading and stuff like that. Hello and welcome back. In our last tutorial we were learning about how to create a content management service. Basically we got as far as to list our files in our directory and then delete our files. Now we're going to learn how to edit our files. Let's create a file called edit.php. Let's open this up. Okay, we're going to use file equals underscore get file. We're going to send the file location to this file, and then this file or edit will open up the file and we can start editing it. First we check that if the file exists. There we go. So if it does not exist, then we go back to our index. Okay. And let's also chmod our file to 0755. And we suppress the error warning or warnings on this because we do not really care if it fails, because if it fails then we still might be able to open it up and read it. Okay, and also we're going to put our code, since edit is one little, actually never mind about that. We now need to read our file, so we do that with fopen. And then we use R for read. is right. Wait, no, it's not. Then at the end we close our fopen with fclose fp. There we go. Now we make our little form. Method equals post action equals server php underscore self. There we go. And I already pre-wrote some stuff because I'm not going to go through writing the form because it'll take forever. There we go. Now basically a text area is a text box, but whatever you put in between the tags will show up. In this case we use PHP to echo out our file contents, which we got, so that you can see what the file contains. Now we need to do something when our form is posted here, and we want to do something before we open up our file. So we'll put it right under our chmod. We'll do if underscore post for save file from our button. And we need to use fopen again to write to our file. Where were we? Just add a pause for a moment. So now we fopen our file with the write permissions. And if we successfully opened it, then we can write it, else we can display an error. There was an error saving our file. There we go. Okay, so now we use fwrite to write to our file using fp and our save content. And then we fclose fp. Then we also die again to so then we don't show our form again. File saved. Okay, let's make sure this is running. And I'm pretty sure there's nothing in foobar. Save. Seems to be an error. Let's check it. try this again. Perfect, it works now. And that is basically all. Thanks for watching. That will be the end of our tutorial. And of course, this is not really complete, but of course, that is basically the basics of a content management system. So that is all. Of course, you will have to end the links at our end here to make them return. Other than that, you are good to go. Thanks for watching.